Intanto buongiorno.
Good afternoon to you all, and welcome to this meeting of the 39th edition of the meeting. My name is Claudia. I'm in last year of the Department of Humanities at the Catholic University in Milan. Today's meeting is entitled The Gust of Development Creation, and it is in the cycle of meetings promoted by Luciano Violante, entitled To Be Italians. We have with us Brunello Cucinelli. He doesn't need any introductions. Welcome. We're very happy to have him with us in order to speak about his job and the topic of this cycle of meetings, To Be Italians, and how that pops up in his personal experience and working experience. To start off this session, can you please tell us something about yourself? Can you tell us what events have led to your working style, your working conscience, and what you call human capitalism? Because actually, you are investing on the local area, the local territory, and on craftsmanship. This is very important for you. And you invest quite a lot on the human dimension. In the current economic context, which is rather based on profit and immediate profit, you seem to be interested in another kind of profit in the long run. And how has it got to do with the fact of being Italians? Now, this is a major topic. This is why I came here today. I've been coming to this wonderful meeting for years now, but when Violante told me that the topic was To Be Italians, I was even happier to be here, because we need to start off once again from our identity, who we are. The other day I was in Siracusa, Sicily, a wonderful city. I read that in Syracuse, Plato went in the 400 before Christ, and he called them Italianotti, kind of Italians. And he said that this kind of Italians who eat and drink twice a day and never want to go to bed on their own. He was a genius. Plato was a genius. He was 40 years old at that time. Then, in the year 60 before Christ, Cicero said that Syracuse was the most beautiful city of Magna Grecia. So, we've got wonderful things in Italy. So, I came here, and I'm very happy to be here. Now, I think that there are quite a few young people here in the room, so it's going to be even more interesting for me to speak to you. Why so? It's going to be more interesting and exciting because with the young people, we've made two major mistakes. I mean, our generation has made two major mistakes. Even the fathers having children about 15, 20 years of age. The first mistake we made is that we gave you the obligation to be afraid. No generation has ever conveyed the obligation of fear to their children. What should we be afraid of? Now, my parents were involved in a war, were hungry, were starving. And the second idea that we gave to you, the message that we conveyed to you was, if you're not going to study, you're going to work. So work is like something that you have to do, that you have to be involved in, if you don't want to study. Now we have to start off from something new. I just wanted to give you this general introduction on life. At the beginning, many years ago, we were farmers. I myself was a farmer until I was 15. I had a big family. There was another big family living next to us. There were 14 of us in my family. In the other family, there were 13 of them. And there was this grandfather who was very thin, who was funny. He had fought in the war. And he told me many stories, beautiful stories about the war. My grandfather always talked about the war in beautiful terms. We didn't have the light or any lightning in the house. Therefore, if you have no light, you always have to look at the sky to see when the sun goes down to switch on the candle. And he used to say, may God send us the right wind, the right sun, the right fog. So at that time, I tried to understand the value of what is right and the value of life, which is deeply connected to gift and profit. The human being has to strike a balance between the two. On the one hand, you have profit and the way you have profits. On the other, how you can give back your profit as a gift to mankind. Then when you're a farmer, well, actually, we had a small farm, but we really look after it very carefully. And I was working with the cows, and my father used to tell me, pay attention, because one of the two cows has to be straight in the line, because the lines must be straight. So the cows were in the farrows, and they had to be straight in the farrows. So this is the beautiful in the Italian culture. Goethe came to Italy, he came to Florence, and he saw this farmer that was working on the land and was looking at the farrows. And Goethe was looking at the farrows because they said that straight farrows are more beautiful. And Goethe was charmed, fascinated by our culture. So order is the first law of the sky. In the countryside, we followed this rule. I was born in a village in the countryside, and Christmas time was absolutely wonderful because everything stops in the countryside. Everything stops about late November when you finish seeding the crops, and then at Christmas time you used to stop working, and you did the accounting, all the accounts with your boss. And after doing the accounts, they told us, the boss would tell us, well, it was good, it was quite a good year. Hopefully God next year will help us so that the year is going to be better. So this is the idea we grew up with, this idea of the right profit, the right gift. We imagined that the sky, we hoped that the sky could give us something better. So a message to be conveyed to the children, and that they used to convey to us, that we needed to be decent persons, honest persons. There were 3 brothers of us and 3 children of us, and then a couple of cousins. My father always used to tell me, you need to be a honest person, a straight person. Wow. And I used to tell him, Dad, you always keep on telling me the same things. Well, now is 97, still he's telling me, do you want to be the richest one in the cemetery, in the graveyard? And I said, no. And he tells me, remember that debts also apply on a Sunday. Then the other day, my father told me, I don't understand anything with money, but it's important for revenues to be higher than expenses. Now, if you think about it, it's very wise. So there's this idea of life while respecting men's dignity. And we lived very well in the countryside. We didn't have any idea of money. I was never hungry. Then when we moved to the city, he went to work in a factory, my brothers too. They were humiliated. I was about 15, 16, and seeing my father, who was about to cry because he was humiliated by others, I started to wonder, but what's this kind of life? Why should my father be humiliated? Why should a man be humiliated? He didn't complain about the money, nor about the hard work, because they were doing prefabs in concrete. But he was offended, and I didn't know at that time what I would do in life, but I thought that I would do it for the dignity of man, because I do believe that man needs dignity, much more than the bread, because we do need dignity. And dignity is connected to sometimes respect, esteem. I went to school in Perugia, center of Italy. We, coming from the countryside, were dressed as farmers. My uncle used to cut my hair, so you can imagine the haircut. When we went to school, there was a major difference between a farmer and somebody coming from the city. Now, there's no longer this difference. We're all dressed the same. And my mate who was sitting next to me at school, I always had fun at school. I didn't study too much. I really had a lot of fun. Then I'm going to talk about the value of jokes, the value of laughing. So there was this mate sitting next to me. He was 16, just like me. His mother died, and every day he was stealing my bread from me, and I was a bit sorry because you know, it's not very nice. So one day I told my mom, okay, why don't you give me twice as much as bread, so that there's not going to be any problem. Then I put some medicine, some drug, and in the drug, so that he would go to, he would rush to the toilet. Actually, that was the kind of drug I put in the in my bread. So from that moment onwards, he never stole my bread ever again. We didn't have the money to buy the bread at school, so this is why we got it from home. And then for 10 years, I didn't do anything until I was 25. I was studying as a surveyor, but I had very poor marks. I didn't even have the books with me when I went to school, but it was a wonderful time of my life. We had these meetings in November. We occupied the school totally for 6 or 7 days because the school started on the 4th of October. Sorry, the 1st of October. The 4th of October was St. Francis Day, so we stayed at home. And then early November, we would occupy the school for 7 or 8 days, and it was wonderful at that time. Why? I don't know. But just we occupied the school, and I conveyed this message to my daughters. I told them, you should occupy the school. Nah, you just do it. Don't worry, you just have to do it. So one day I told my daughter, just occupy the school. Are you crazy, Dad? No, you have to do it. The dean was coming to school with me. And at some point, he rang me up while I was working, the dean, I mean, and he said, how are you? I've got my daughter, your daughter in front of me. She wants to occupy the school with her friends. And I said, come on, how many times have we occupied the school? Just let them do it. But I told my daughter, pay attention, don't break anything, because you need to have respect for institutions, for the school. We occupied the school, but I can tell you, we made no damage at all. That was the basic idea. But the fact of occupying the school for us was a sort of nice way, funny way, and a nice way, because in the gym, we would talk about the big ideals of life, women, church, religion, because I think that we had 30 years of crisis of civilization. I'm not talking about economic or political crisis, but about a crisis of civilization, the great values of man, spirituality, religion, all the big values of man were neglected, started to be neglected. And now we are reborn again. We are thriving again. Why so? Why there were 30 years of crisis? Because they taught us that mankind could only be educated through science. No. You always need Apollos and Dionysus. You always need Voltaire and Rousseau. You always need a genius and a funny guy like Rousseau that through Romanticism conveyed values. Any idea that is developed in the mind and goes through the heart is a wonderful idea. This is why you young people have to start off again. So I'm proud of being Italian. I'm always proud of being Italian. Since I was a kid, my grandfather used to tell me about the war, as well as my father. Now I'm an adult. Now, first of all, Italians are different from others. Sorry to foreigners, but I was called by a very famous university some time ago, number 1 or 2 in the world, I have to say, to talk to 10 geniuses. So I met these guys, I met these students for a couple of hours, and then the professors told me, what do you think? And I said, okay, probably they're geniuses, but they should go, I think, to Naples for 1 week or 10 days on their own. Because they were a bit shy with me, I didn't study anything, I told you before, but Saint Benedict, in 500, the empire collapsed, and he built up the religious and spiritual Europe. Then Charlemagne developed it. In the 900, we invented the one-way and the 2-lane road. What is the first architect worldwide? An architect from Tuscany making the dome. Who invented the piano, for example? The Italians. Who started to eat with cutlery? The Italians. Do you agree with that? Who started to shake hands? Who invented the French kiss? That was a very good invention. I don't know how they would kiss before, but they always asked us, but how did they kiss before? The famous French kiss was invented by Caterina de' Medici, who met Caterina II, and the French kiss was born thanks to Caterina, and she made a very nice invention. She was a genius. She should have been given an award. So, what are you afraid, you young people? There was a young guy before who told me, yes, I traveled a lot, and then I came back. Oh, so you landed in Amsterdam with the nice sunset, with the joy of life that they have. In the Netherlands, nobody ever laughs. Yeah, just travel around the world, and then compare yourselves with foreigners. Don't you think that we are the best welfare state worldwide? Yes, we are. Definitely. With a lot of humanity. Any human being is taken care of, is looked after in the same way. I'm really very proud of being Italian. And then when we go around and when we travel, they touch you, they look at you. And what about jokes? Making jokes. There's no other people making jokes just like us. So the joke is very important for us in Italians, just like love for life. Why are you young people so frightened? Just think how we thought about gays and women 30, 40 years ago. 50 years ago, women didn't vote in Italy, so this is an exciting world today. But we can be open to the world. I think that Pericles made the nicest speech in the world in the year 400 before Christ. We in Athens, he said, do like this. He didn't say what the others had to do. That he said what people would do in Athens. We comply with the laws. And at the end of his speech, of this beautiful speech, short speech, he said, our city is open to the world, and we never make anyone escape or refuse anyone. What are we afraid of? Next year, it's going to be 800 years for San Francis. We were born with the saints, and St. Francis and St. Benedict now are outside our church, back in the village where I live, and because they cast light on us every time we walk past them. When Confucius says, when I was 15, I thought about studying. When I was 30, I was a man. When I was 40, I found my balance. When I was 50, I solved my problems with the sky. Now, solving your problems with the sky is very hard. You, young people, sometimes are somewhat asleep, a bit weak, because you live with your parents. We find a boyfriend or a girlfriend for you. We find a house for you. Parents want you to go to a certain university or department, but you just don't have to listen to your parents. Just listen to your parents when they talk to you about the dream, about the values of life. Alexander the Great, when he was 17, was looking at the sea and was not moving his eyes. Why he would do so? Because he wanted to know about the boundaries of about the world boundaries. So start again from there. In 1937, and this is a very good example, there was a Russian man, Floresky, who was condemned to the death penalty. And at some point, he understood that he was about to die. He wrote his children and said, dear children of mine, when you feel humiliated, offended, when your soul is heavy, when you're not successful, just get out, look at the sky, look at the stars, and everything will be solved back again. Be brave, look at the stars and the sky. Yes, you have to do that. This is where we have to start off once again. You have been educated over the last 10 years to do startups and nothing else. But why so many startups? Why? Why so? Somebody from the government told me that 90–70% of startups fail. In the past, they were not startups. They were ideas promoted by somebody. Why should we only do service startups? We are a people of manufacturers, the first manufacturing people in mechanics, furniture, the clothing industry. Why should we only have startups? And you're there, you're inventing something, and after a couple of weeks, you have to close down your startups. Can we work on manufacturing? We are manufacturers. The entire world is fascinated and charmed by Italy on one condition. We have understood that we cannot produce usual products because the world no longer wants that from Italy. The internet has totally changed the world. So on the one hand, the internet is certainly a great gift, but this connection to the internet does not have to steal our soul given by God, because the man was born with that soul, and the continuous connection has made our soul heavier. We must be brave enough to govern the technology and to manage the technology, because it doesn't have to steal our soul. I believe that the technology is a gift given by heaven and God. But if we don't govern technology, it's going to be hard. We no longer speak with our children. The other day, I was at the seaside with my family. There were 2 families down there, and they were always on their mobile phones. They were not speaking. So at some point, I wondered, but can we govern technology or not? Why should we be connected at night, in the morning, early in the morning, always? Now, in the company, there is 1,700 people. You start off at 8 o'clock. You finish at 5. You cannot be connected outside work. But you just have to be connected while you're working. I don't want to steal my employees' soul. You don't have to be connected when you're not working. Last year, I went to San Francisco. I was speaking about this. I was speaking about humanism and technology. This year, I'm going to speak about technology and confidentiality, human confidentiality. We need to recover that concept, because the human being has a public life, a private life, and a secret life. A secret life, full stop. But technology no longer allows that, because it's always with us. So real luxury in the future is going to be to lead a life that is not known by our smartphone. An ordinary life. I want to lead an ordinary life. We need honest people, decent people, ordinary people. How many non-honest people do you know? I don't know many of them. So in the civilization, there are many decent and honest people, especially among you, young people. All these professors who give you some fear, but carpe diem. Robin Williams, remember that film? Seize the day. And these professors who are tired, who have no longer confidence, don't listen to them. We need ordinary people, honest and decent people, with a vision. The vision of life, of good life, an ordinary life. We want to have a nice, ordinary life. We want to work. Saint Benedict educated his monks to look after a mind by studying the soul with the work, striking a balance. The abbot says, try to be strict and sweet at the same time, demanding but a loving father. Being strict and sweet, demanding and loving is a bit difficult. It's a difficult balance, but we must be brave enough to start off from there. Don't you agree with me that we are going through a sort of rebirth from a moral, spiritual, human, religious, ethical point of view? Do you agree on that? The young people are nodding. Good. So, let's try to do something more, because you don't have to put the blame on somebody. At some point, the Greeks said, if your door is open, your city is going to be clean. So that was the concept in Greece at that time, which was very strong. In the Chinese constitution, they said those governing have to look after beauty because it gives a joy to strangers. Can we look after our working places, our houses, our cities, our suburbs? Our suburbs must be livable. 70% of people live in the suburbs. And just because of very few people, we have to transform suburbs into something better, with a better quality of life. Do you agree on that? Now you have to do an interview with me. I was the only one speaking. Now I will let her ask a few questions because she's nice, she's young. But you did understand what I meant. We need to get out from that door convinced that we are living in a better world. The better world in the history of the world. There could be better worlds, but we are living through a different era compared to what there was in the past.
I had a wonderful piadina. It was delicious, but it was a bit too much salty, and so now I have to drink a bit. I'm sorry, but it was very salty. We have 3 students of the Polytechnical School of Milan, and they study fashion, and so we would like them to ask Mr. Cucinelli their questions. Wow, the dean of your faculty is 39-year-old. Wow, very young. Good morning. What's the value of fashion for individuals and for society? Because even the people who are not fashionistas or do not work in this sector should care about that. Why is that not a sort of cosmetic issue? Well, I'm not here to talk about fashion, but I'm here to talk about big ideas and great ideals. Well, 2,000 years ago, Adrian goes to the Senate and says, oh my gosh, there was a senator that was so poorly dressed. So fashion is part of our life. But now there is something new. There is the internet. That means that in the morning you can upload a post for you or somebody does it for you, and maybe, well, in the evening you will be taken in a picture and that picture will be posted. So the appearance will always be important. It has always been important. It was important for the ancient Greeks. It was important 3,000 years ago. So it hasn't changed. What I would like to do is that we could find again some humanity. I was dressed like a countryman when I was younger. Well, yeah, maybe I had a bit of luck in the fashion world, but I remember my mother that for Christmas once gave me some beautiful green corduroy shorts, and I thought, oh my gosh, I hated green. And so we just got a pair of long trousers for the winter and 1 pair of shorts for the summer. And I hated those green shorts, and so I buried in the garden. I said, Mummy, I lost them. I don't know where they are. And my mother, where did you put them? So today, green is a rather trendy color, but I don't really like it. Every time I see some green, I remember those shorts. Because if you do not have a tan, well, those who wear green maybe are too self-confident, but just a sort of, saying. But, well, when going back to fashion, we need to be always flawless, nice, and, well, this is part of our culture. This is part of our history. Think about the Renaissance. Think about Siena in 1300s. Probably it was like New York today. So we're special people. I'm so sorry if somebody thinks that we're not so special, or people sort of regret being Italian. Okay, our children have to go abroad because they need to see what's out of the country. It's important. Okay, go to Australia and you can come back 2 days afterwards. When I was in my 20s, a neighbor left for Australia. 64 days of a ship. And everybody was crying, and everybody thought he would never ever come back. Now you can go to Australia and come back 2 days later. But there was so much fear about that. If you go to London, wonderful. You go there and work as waiters in London. Okay, but you could come to Rimini to work as waiters. Well, why don't we give work dignity back? Lorenzo il Magnifico sort of decided to recruit Michelangelo and Marsilio, and he And Michelangelo, when he was 15, he was very young and he was still learning, but he was attributing the same level of importance to all of the craftsmen that he recruited. So again, I'm here just to try to convey you this message. Italy has a great value. And also another important message is this one. Let's go back to the respect of laws. Okay, it's like respecting, our parents' rules. I remember that some years ago, the very first bank in the world was established by Italians. So we are really inventors. And also the first bill of exchange. So if we had bad managers, why should we get so depressed? Okay, that can happen. We have never been like France, where politically there was always just one government, and we had small sort of republics, small states, but that created culture because you could find so many different things everywhere. So, and respect is first and foremost the most important rule. Ah, oh yeah, he has some sort of piercing. I thought he had something in his nose, or something, and now he has an earring. Well, he got the best marks. He's got an earring, but okay, if he got the best marks, is not something sort of extremely. It's very good, but you also need, as St. Francis said, you need to learn to be loved. Well, in a world where very few people can afford pret-à-porter and everybody opts for fast fashion, well, in a world where people want quick products that are accessible, how can you protect the Italian tradition? But most of all, why should we stick to our tradition? Well, if what you said was totally true, well, we would be ruined. Well, actually, I do not totally share what you said. I think that, well, internet has changed the world, so the world job market has changed. So we can't afford producing low level manufactured products. We need to produce high and premium and medium level manufactured goods. Did you see that document? In 2016, 80 billion items of fashion had been produced 10 years before, just half of that. So that means that there's a balance. Instead, I think that you young people are starting to sort of consume less, to buy less. And Epicurus at one point says that human beings have two big problems. The first one is sort of the sorrows of soul that can be healed with philosophy, looking for happiness. And secondly, using what the soil and the land can give us. And Italians have been the first to understand the right use of things, not consuming. 40 years ago, the word consuming did not exist. 40 years ago, people were not consumers. I'm not a consumer. I do not feel like a consumer. I simply want to be a person that uses the things that have been given to him or her by heaven. You throw away fewer things than us. Your refrigerators are a bit different, so there's a cultural change. I think that things are changed for the better, so be confident, have trust. Again, I think that Italy should produce special manufactured goods. But our way of working, our know-how, our craftsmanship, our way of putting things together are rather special. It's not that we do not have a future, not at all. We are the world leaders for premium manufactured goods in all sectors. So there's hope, but well, it's not true that everybody buys fast fashion. If that was true, we would be ruined. No, still there are people that prefer to buy less, but to buy better. So, well, people just get information today. How is this produced and where? And what's the ethics of the producer? This is very interesting because that means that people also double check how staff are treated and the ethics. Maybe you sort of get too much profit. Would you buy from who makes too much profit? No, I don't think so. Again, the idea of gift, of donation, of the right balance, or what is enough, or what is just the right amount. So, sound growth, sound profit, sound respect, sound simplicity, being sober. I think we need to go back to simplicity and learn to live simply. The world of work, especially in the fashion sector, is very demanding and challenging, and the relations between and among colleagues are very different. Well, who wrote this question for you? Who said this? My gosh. So, you were told that everything is hard and difficult? Repeat, start repeating. So, in the world of employment, especially in the fashion world, everything is demanding and challenging. So, and the relationships among colleagues are difficult. Difficult. Okay. Demanding, challenging, difficult. How can you manage to respect human dignity without being too naive or to being too cynical? Oh my gosh, who suggested you to make this question? So anybody, regardless of the person who has suggested you to do this question, please do not listen to this person any longer. Yeah, please don't listen to this person any longer. So many of us are about to look for a job. How can you sort of keep the right balance between professional life and personal life? Oh, that's a good question. Come on, good. First of all, young people have been used to sending 1,000 CVs per day, and we get 70,000 CVs per year. But there are too many. Try to maybe bring it personally to 3 or 4 companies. I mean, if you bring it personally, somebody's going to see you and meet you and talk to you. But with emails, you send thousands of that, but those CVs are not even opened up as files. I mean, what you said about work is not true. If that was true, we would live in a dead society. It's not true. I have 1,700 staff. We are 1,700. If one person is offending another person, is immediately sort of fired, regardless of age, positions, gender. So, I mean, why do you start from the idea that everything is difficult? Okay, demanding. Okay, we need to be creative, genius, quick, and swift. Genghis Khan said he could do in 2 days what Roman soldiers would do in 10 days. We live in a fast society, in a quick society. Being quick is not as being fast. There's a slight difference. We need to be geniuses. We need to be creative, imaginative. We know that we should stick to some premium production because the others come from other parts of the world. We need to sort of comply with some expectation people have with respect to us, but we are always looked at in many sectors. This is the truth. Hey, don't be afraid, please. And then to those who are a bit less young, in 1972 we were told that 76% of people used to work as blue-collar workers. Well, actually, many of our today people want to start as managers, as executives. For instance, the son of a friend of mine said, I started to become a company director, and I said, okay, would like to direct you somewhere, but I can't tell you where. Okay, if you started to become sort of a fashion designer, you should start from something little, little by little, step by step. Not from the top. Who are the three most important people working with me? Three guys who used to work simply in the logistics department, so in the shipping department. Well, they used to dress pretty well, and then they developed a talent. So today, okay, I mean, if you study as a fashion designer, you look for a top job as fashion designer. Let's start slow, nice and easy, and then humble and friendly, and try to get the tricks and learn the ropes. So if you come being presumptuous, you will just get pranks. And I had a lot of fun. So 14 by 14, what's the sum? Oh, come on. 13 by 13, you see? Mathematics. 13 by 13, you know? Good, good. Not bad. So you should know. So you should know also 1354 by 1232. So mathematics is very important, maybe more than philosophy. And we had so many geniuses. We had Archimedes, who was a big genius, Archimedes. So again, okay, I mean, even if you started to become something specifically, you can also opt for another career. I mean, today instead, well, I see, oh my gosh, terrible teachers, terrible professors. Oh, I don't want to speak about economy teachers and professors. Oh, it's incredible. They just see straight upward lines in their charts and diagrams. We're a bit more ordinary, happy, friendly, smiling. So the entire world is investing into young Italians because you are the best when it comes to managing non-linear things. Non-linear things. It's special. It's quite something. Did you hear that? That's what we have. That's our plus. No, you didn't get it. Oh, you look a bit confused or upset. Don't be scared, but try to be a bit more humble and don't listen to us. Okay, your dad wants you to become maybe something specific. When I started working in the cashmere sector, I used to make pranks to my dad. My dad used to go to work at 10 past 7, and I used to live, to live literally at the bar, and well, maybe there was a beautiful film by Alberto Sordi, an American in Rome, and I said, "Good morning, Dad. Have a nice day, and have a fruitful day." And so he went out saying nothing, and I used to sort of go back to sleep and sleep until 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then I told him I will start making cashmere jumpers, and he looked at me and said, "I didn't get a word, but I hope that God will help you." So I didn't get a word, but I hope God will help you. Try to go to your parents and say that you have an idea to build this. So your parents will tell you, where are you going to do that? And who is going to give you the money? Just don't listen to them and go on and follow your idea. This is the plan. This is the best strategy. Trust me. We still have 5 minutes. If anybody has a question, you can come on stage and you can ask anything you want, even hard questions and not pessimistic questions. I had an uncle who died last year and said, "Oh my gosh, the world is going so bad. Your life is so easy." You see, the very last part of life is like that. Until 18 years of age, it's all instinct. Okay, one here, one there. The first part of life is all instinct until 18 years, and then from 18 to 45, erotism. So everything changing. And then from 45 to 60, you are quite stable. And then after 60, you get grumpy. And that's age. That's what aging is about. So don't listen to us and follow your road and your pathway. Good morning. Good morning. Hello. Hello. Hey, it's nicer. My question is the following. You talked a lot about being ordinary, being respectable people. What do you exactly mean? Because I don't know. I have always tried to be authentic. And you said that you tried to be not too polite. Yes, that's what I said. Oh, it's very serious, very bad. I think that over the last 30 years, we made a big mistake once again because we sort of we have mistaken education with learning a sort of knowledge because education by itself is nothing. I mean, knowledge by itself is nothing. I mean, it's not just about learning information. We need to go back to being educated in the sense of being polite and then getting a sort of a lot of knowledge. Okay, you should say, I am joyful, funny, and extremely polite, and so educated. But what are you afraid of? I mean, were you afraid of what? Because probably your parents have told you to be like that. So let's try to be super polite, super educated. When I used to go to school, I mean, being being politeness was very important because even if you do not know mathematical laws, if you're polite, you're always a sensitive person. So human sensitivity is very important, and this is expressed also through politeness. Oh, nothing but women? Well, you are pure genius. Well, unfortunately, I do not have a question. I just wanted to say that I've been following you for many years, and I always come to Solomeo to see what you did for that. And actually, I would like to thank you. I'm not that young, but my family and my generation have been waiting for somebody like you saying what you have just said. Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. But seriously, I think we're going through a new renaissance, and we're a bit ahead on that as a country. Italy is ahead. We need a new sort of humanistic time. We need to have a new humanism. We are a special Italy. The President of the Republic sort of gave me two very important gifts. I became a Cavaliere del Lavoro 5 or 6 years ago, and now I am also a Cavaliere di Gran Croce because I have honored the Italian Republic. Oh my gosh, I went back to my dad and said, look, Dad, because I have honored the Italian Republic. Oh, you are so honorable. I was made a member of the Order of Merit for Labor because I made the country honorable. Okay, are you proud to be Italian? I'm very proud to be Italian because what we did 2,400 years ago was discussing about philosophy. Some peoples still ate meat warmed up under the saddle of the horse 1,000 years ago. We had Columbus discovering the Americas. So let's go back to our value, our words. We know that the world has changed, of course. And okay, we are not the 7th world power, we are the 8th. Okay, I don't know. Chinese 30 years ago lived like animals. I saw human beings living in sort of places where animals would live. Again, we are still a good state, good people. We are educated, we love culture, we respect women a lot, maybe more than others. And I think we were among the first to let women vote in 48, among the first. Maybe it's not right. The English were the first ones. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, 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 they had their own genius. Okay, okay. But come on, we are a special people. We can say it out loud. I think we are. I'm convinced we are, and I hope we will be able to express that. So, we had the earthquake in Norcia. The next day, I went to see Father Cassian at the Benedictines. Go and visit these Benedictines in Norcia. It's beautiful. It's peace. It's wonderful. I remember Father Cassia coming towards me with 17 monks with him, and he said, "We are crying for our city." And Saint Benedict dreamt about the destruction of his monastery, of his cloister. But remember, when the Nabucodonosor was destroying Jerusalem, there was Baruch next to Jeremiah the prophet, and Jeremiah says, "Baruch, protect this chart." Here it is written on this paper that you are the owner of this plot of land, because then you need to start from that to refound the city, to refound Jerusalem. And so we're going through a moment of renaissance, spiritual, civic, and moral. I think this is going to be a golden century, and we need to make soul and mind go hand in hand together. And I hope that the wonders of the universe will show us the way. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, our time is over. And I was very, very struck by many things you said. And what you say comes from your own experience, especially when you told us about your family. And it's extremely fascinating what you said, because it's true, it's authentic. Oh, yes, it's true, it's totally true. But come on, let's go back to pranks and to pranking. We need to laugh, to make jokes. I made so beautiful jokes. Yeah, yeah. I went to Japan, and we have a partner. They have a building with 20,000 people. Yeah, we had a big, big watch without glass. And so all young Japanese said, Cucinelli-san, Mr. Cucinelli, what do you want to make as a prank? Just, I put it ahead an hour. And it was so beautiful. And so they came in to clock in, and they were astonished and gobsmacked. But come on, smiling is part of life and having fun. Thank you.